Hi everyone, congrats on finishing week one. We are now moving into week two, which as you might have seen is the week where we work on narrative speaking. So I wanted to create a video to talk a little bit about what narrative speaking is and then talk a little bit about what you have this week and what this week will look like in terms of assignments and give you some tips and tricks to help you be successful for this first big speech that you're going to do. So first and foremost, your narrative speech, you have 3 to 4 minutes to tell us whatever story it is you choose. Anywhere between 3 and 4 is perfect. Once you start getting outside of 4 or outside of 3 by 30 seconds, that's a half a letter grade deduction, and a minute over or under time drops you a whole letter grade. So for example, if it's an A speech, but you go 5 minutes long, it's a minute over, that A would drop to a B. And you can imagine the other examples. Most students, if they pick something specific enough, they can fit between 3 and 4 minutes. But what I mean by specific enough is like a speech on the time I went to Europe for 2 weeks is going to be way too big for 3 to 4 minutes. The specific time you went to this museum that inspired you, that can fit in 3 to 4 minutes. So kind of think about that with your choice of topic. This assignment is your first big graded speech. It's worth 50 points just for the speech itself. You'll see a rubric in the module. I grade 50% on content, meaning what you say and how you say it. And then the second half of your grade will be delivery, which is more of the how you say it. So it's things like eye contact, or did it look like you were reading off your screen, gestures, pacing, use of language, or fillers. Fillers are things like, so. You want to avoid those and put a pause there instead. Things like that. You can see how I'm going to grade you in the module. And then the last thing you need for this assignment is you need an outline. And I give you directions on where to look for in your textbook for that outline and what it should look like. So what are you doing for this narrative speech? Narrative means story, and that's what all of you are going to do. You're all going to tell us a story from your life. It's going to be a personal narrative. So you can pick any moment, big or small, silly or serious, anywhere in between, that you want to share and you feel comfortable sharing with the class. There are a few requirements for this assignment. The first of which is I want you to play a prominent role in your story. We're still trying to get to know you, which is part of why I want you to tell the story. And also, they're easier to remember when you were in them. So I want you to share something like that, not a story that's like, this thing happened to my best friend's brother's mom one time. None of those. It should be a story where you say, I felt this, I experienced this, this was my adventure, however you want to do it. First person is fine. Those of you who want to use third person, I've heard students do that successfully as well. You could use third person if that seems like it would fit your story better. The second thing that needs to happen is it needs to be a true story. So I don't want made up stories. You don't need to exaggerate your story. Just tell us what happened, the true version of it. And then the third thing that you'll see as a requirement is that your story should have a moral to it or in it. Most students will use their moral as a way to conclude their speech, which you will be reading and taking a quiz on beginning and ending speeches. Most students will use the moral as the end. However, some students creatively use it as a hook in the introduction, or they'll imply it or embed it throughout the body of the speech, which is also appropriate. Be careful not to give your moral away too soon. You don't want it to be where we hear the moral too early and then we don't need to listen to the rest of your video because we already know what's going to happen. So for example, when we were in face-to-face learning, I had a student stand up and he said, I'm going to tell you this time that I went skiing and I broke both my arms and both my legs. Okay, ready? Here I go. We didn't need to hear the rest. We knew exactly how it was going to end. So leave that moral for most of you towards the end, but those of you who want to imply it or put it in the beginning creatively, please do so. Now what your moral is going to be up to you. Some people are going to stay on this end of the spectrum, which is like the light, the lighthearted, the simple, the easy to understand morals, possibly morals that make us laugh, and they're just like a moral to have a moral. Other students are going to pick something on the other end of the spectrum, which is like really serious and heavy and emotional. And those morals where we hear them as an audience and we're like, I'm changing my life today. This was amazing, right? So it's whatever you feel comfortable with. And some of you will be somewhere in the middle where you have some funny parts and some serious parts, and that's okay too. In terms of the serious morals, we are an adult audience, and if you feel comfortable sharing your story, most of the time that makes it appropriate for class. If you're concerned, you can always email me and ask, and I will let you know, yes, that is completely appropriate, or maybe rethink that, or here's a way to approach it to make it appropriate. So whatever you feel comfortable with for this assignment is completely your choice. And in the description of the assignment, I have some examples of previous morals that students have done. Not to say yours needs to be anything like that, but to show you that there's a huge range in what students will choose to speak about for this assignment. With that said, there are a couple overdone topics I want to make you aware of. The first one that I want to make you aware of, and I just think students could choose a better topic, is the I got so drunk story. We're in college now, and we want to be responsible adults. And so always talking about how much drinking there is in your life might not necessarily be the best topic for this assignment. Think if there's something better that we might be able to learn from you or take from your story. That one's probably the most overdone when we used to have face-to-face classes, and so I tried to deter students. And same with online. We don't need a bunch of stories that sound the same. Pick something original to you. Pick something different, something that maybe other college students haven't experienced. That makes a good speech topic for this assignment. So with that said, that's the overall goal of what you're working on for the week. And to get you ready for this assignment, I have a couple things throughout the week that are going to be due. So Monday, today, I would like you to obviously watch this video of me. I'd like you to read about the speech description, look over the rubric so that you know how you're being graded, and then you're going to watch 2 examples of previous narrative speeches that students have done. One is in a classroom and one is at home sitting down. It is appropriate to do it how you see fit. Most people will deliver their speech from sitting down, but you want to make sure your camera angle has enough space so that we know you're not reading eye contact off the screen, and also to allow for some of these nice gestures. So that's up to you how you want to do it, but there's a couple examples there and you can see what you like and then what you didn't like and what you would like to do different for yours. The examples are not perfect. By no means are they perfect. And I always try to reiterate to students, I want you to be you in your videos, not like the examples shown. The only reason those examples are there are for you to see what it could maybe possibly look like, not what it should look like, and you should not mimic them. All right, on Tuesday, you have a big thing that we haven't done yet, and it's going to be quiz number 1. Quiz number 1 is 50 questions. It's covering a wide range of chapters. All those chapters, though, are going to relate to all the speeches we do from here moving forward. This is the longest quiz in terms of questions, but also the amount of time it's going to take you to look each of those up. You have, I think, 9,999 minutes to complete this quiz. My goal is that you look up each answer and know each answer, not how fast you complete it. So make sure that you understand each of those questions, because each of those questions was thoughtful in the fact that I put it there because later it's going to relate to an assignment we do. So think about that as you go through the quiz. Really take note of what each answer is. Also on Tuesday, I want you to read through some of the practice tips I have for you. It's just a file. It'll take you 5 minutes or less to read through it. Just some strategies on how to practice your public speaking before you record. Wednesday, you're going to post your topic for all of us to see in class so that we know what everybody in class is planning to talk about. This is a good place for us to kind of check in too. Are 7 people talking about the time they jumped out of a plane for the first time? If so, maybe you pick something else because you see it's repetitive already. So if you're the last person to post, make sure you look through everybody else's first before posting. And then I ask you to comment on a couple of your classmates to reassure them that they have the right idea. Thursday is when your speech is going to be due. That's when you're going to show the video of what you choose to do for 3 to 4 minutes, whatever you choose to talk about. At the top of your post, I would like you to give us a warning of what it is you plan to talk about. Even if it's not sensitive content, I want all of you to say, my speech is going to be about, remind us, and it can literally be a copy and paste from what you put Wednesday on the discussion board to what you put on Thursday above your video. That way people know what they're clicking on before they click on it. So make sure that you put that there. Your outline will also be due on Thursday. So outlines and speeches will always come in on the same day. And then on Friday, same as last week, I'm going to ask you to comment on some of your classmates' work and critique yourself. So that'll be what's due on Friday. Each of these things can be completed sooner than the deadline as you see fit. And I think that most of the assignments are clearly laid out. However, as always, if you have questions or concerns or you want to check in, please feel free to do so. I'll be checking email regularly, and also you can message me through Canvas. So with that said, I'm excited to hear what stories you choose to share with the class, and I'm looking forward to what you come up with. Best of luck.